All right, so it's a beautiful morning here, a nice weekend. So we're gonna actually use brake clean to clean brakes. All right, today we're gonna do the brake rotors and pads on this bad boy. As you can see, she's got some use. The pads are definitely eating away at rough bare metal now. You can see the lines on there. It's like got a lip. It's been worn down to nothing. We gotta clean that up. Let's get this thing jacked up in the air and get the wheel off. Okay, so we're gonna want to break these now. Your car may have special adapters for taking off anti-theft locks. You're just gonna seat that, seat it in the socket, get your fit, and get her off. The goal isn't to remove here, it's to loosen. All right, then we keep jacking it up. I'm gonna jack it up so you get just enough clearance. The wheel moves freely. And then we're gonna take the wheel off. If you have jack stands, this is the time to put jack stands down. When you're taking these out, you really want to support them, the wheel, while you're pulling them off. I use my legs to kind of hoist it up a little bit. And that takes the pressure off the bolt and makes it easier to come off. Once you got your wheel off, you put it aside. All right, now we want to thread one of these back for later. Let's start by taking your caliper off. So the ones located here are going to be 13s. We're just going to get our socket on there, pull her out. These are actually kind of in a double nut situation. So if you see it start to spin like mine is here, you're going to need to get a 12 mil wrench and hold on the back one while you try to crank out. All right, so the nut on the back is actually a 17. So we've got our 17 mil wrench in there, and we've got our 14 mil on the back, and we're just gonna crank until it breaks. We're gonna get that one loose, and then we're gonna do the bottom one. Once they're broken, they're just about finger tight. We're gonna pull out the bolt on both sides, and then we should be able to pull off the caliper. Now our caliper is free, now our pads can be removed. Before we just let this dangle, what we want to do is actually unhook this bolt here so that we can get the line a little bit longer so we can seat it on the back here while we're working. Now we can push this to the side. Without kinking the line, shove the brake caliper into the top, behind your strut. Now we want to take off the main caliper mounting points. There's one bolt here and one bolt here. They're both 17 millimeter. So we're gonna bust both of them and then take them off together. There we go, we got that one broken. Be careful when leaning on this. As you can see, it is very sharp. It ate a little bit of my skin but didn't puncture. All right, so let's do the same for the bottom. All right, there we go. Now our pad holding assembly is free. And if we remove this lug nut here, we should be able to remove our rotor. That wasn't too bad. If you have issues removing your rotor, what you have to do is thread a bolt into here and a bolt into here, and then slowly tighten them down until they back off of the plate. So that's what our old rotor looked like. You can see we kind of have a lip on there. It's been eaten. I've had these since I bought the car, and I don't think the previous owner did change them at all. So Let's get out the new parts and see what we got. So I decided to go with the usual suspects, and I got the Carquest Platinum for both the rotor and the pads. So let's go ahead and take out the rotor and get it on there. So, as usual, we want to start by cleaning. So we're going to use brake parts cleaner on actual brakes. Let's get our rotor on there. So from the factory, these come lubed up with grease and oil. So what we want to do is brake clean all that grease off. Let's hit the back first. So let's install the rotor backwards. Then hit it with our brake clean. Then we repeat on the other side. Let's go ahead and get our new pads installed in our bracket. So to remove the old ones, you want to remove these clips first. And then just pull these away to the inside. Look at that, that is eaten. Delicious. We're going from this to this. So we have these shims here that are on our current caliper. This package actually comes with shims from multiple different cars that this kit would fit. So there's ones for a RAV4, there's ones for older Camrys, newer Camrys, and a few others, and one for this car. But these shims, they don't wear that often. They're just pieces of metal that are used as a spring to retain the brake pads. So I'm gonna clean them off and we're gonna reuse them. All right, once you got them installed back in your holder here, we wanna take these pins and make sure that we put them into each of our pads. This adds a springing force, pushing the pads away from the rotor. Once you've got those in, this assembly is ready. So what we want to do is do the same thing in reverse and try to slot it over our fresh new rotor. Once we've got that, reinsert the two bolts, top and bottom. Then we crank those to factory torque spec. All right, now we want to put our caliper back on here. So let's make sure this is sandwiched as much as we can and get our caliper back out. Now for putting this back on, you'll find that it doesn't seat right back over the new pads. That's because as your brake pads wear, the distance in between here gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and your brake piston inside the caliper, it actually retains whatever shape that is from the last pad you had. So what we need to do is actually push this cylinder back until we can get it on. This is a hydraulic system, so it's very strong. You can't just use your hands and push it back. And if you can, that means your system is weak and you should get that checked out. So let's get some tools in here to compress this until we can get in there. The method I'm using is not a great method, so don't use it at home. You just take some of these pliers here, see if you can grip the whole face of it up to the metal piston ring. And squeeze. That method causes uneven placement and also possibly marring up of the surface. But it looks pretty good to me, so I'm gonna be irresponsible and do it anyways. We need just a few more inches on this. So I'm actually gonna do that to the other side now to see if I can even it out a little bit. So when doing this, you may need to push in the small slides with the nuts that we had to take off before. And once you've got it in a pretty good position, go ahead and take your bolts and reinsert. So we're gonna do the same thing in reverse. We're gonna hold the nut while we crank, using our size 14 and size 17 mil wrench. Be sure to torque to your factory torque spec. And there you go. It's on. Now we put our wheel back on. Let's pull out that one nut that we did to hold everything in the middle. And slide our wheel back on. All right, and that's it. So we torqued them up top, then we dropped the car, we torqued them again. We drive around a little bit, we check them, and we torque them again. And that's all. That's the whole brake pad installation on a 2016 Toyota Camry SE.